might be more than one person. Okay? Looking to hit him the first time as well. Again, I'm not knocking the sword away. So watch this slowly. Reaching out, he skips away. Second cut is a stronger one. But it could just as well be
Hold that, please.
more than one person in one movement. You don't have time to step, stop, etc. So if I cut here, instead of shifting weight, you just pivot on the ball of your foot, which means you're displacing out of where he would be reaching. You're not where you were in the moment. And cutting in that same motion with the energy of your body. Okay? Because I'm going to do a couple of these cutting wise. Okay? Another one of the Jujitsu. So let me demonstrate that as a cut. Just made that big sharper. So by the way, after we're going to leave a couple of mats if people want to try out my blades that are made by CRKT to cut on these things a little bit, and the smaller knives. Well, they're not that small, some of them, but we're gonna leave a little bit of time so people can do that. The Kodachi, or the smaller sword, is also a very efficient cutter. Easily capable of taking off head, arm, legs. Okay? It's called the companion sword because it was worn all the time, everywhere. You didn't find samurai leaving their sword leaning up against a tree and then wandering off, and here's the bad guy and there's your sword. Typical cowboy movie stuff, right? I mean, I'm not saying all cowboys did that because I simply don't move my weapon way around.
Thank you. Have another one?
See how efficient and quick the sword is. Up close, into within a few feet, faster, more effective than firearms. But at 10 or 15 feet, not so much. So you can see with that, there's no hesitation. It's immediate blood cut. Bang. It's very fast. It had to be. Courtesy, okay, just like Western courtesy, had to do with how do people with lethal weapons train to an edge, how can they exist around each other without killing each other, right? So, samurai did not walk weapon side to weapon side. If you walked non-weapon side to non-weapon side, you kept a one-step, one-cut distance. If you had invaded that space, you could be cut down in the moment. No one's going to wait and ask you what, right? Very different society. Okay. Western society is very similar. Right hand. Why? Because it's the weapon hand. Stand up when somebody enters a room because they have a tactical relationship advantage if you stay seated and they don't, unless in the feudal system, right, there's a hierarchy there. So most of this stuff came from all the things that would make sense. People with weapons. So modern military environment, we have the same type of thing. There's weapons protocols, right? They're there for a reason. Yeah, don't do something like that. So this is a slightly larger mat. So you can see how efficient the weapon is. Thank you. Was that good?
That was good.
I know these young people from a long time ago as well. So, and the youngest one was disappointed that he thought I wasn't. Aren't you going to cut? Am I making a mess? Okay. Now the trick is to and make a mess if somebody else cleaned it up. So part of the thing with double cutting is, you know, in the military it's the same thing, one shot, one kill. Sounds real good. How many former military guys here? 11 Bravos, 0311s, etc. Okay. So it sounds good, right? One shot, one kill. How often does that actually happen? Not as often as we'd like, right? Especially up close. So same with the sword. You know, one cut, one kill. Hey, it sounds good. That's what you're aiming for. But the reality is you need to be able to fluidly use that tool either for multiple opponents or on the same opponent to make sure that you solve that problem. Okay? We're just looking for solutions. We don't want to fight about it. The sword that I'm using is one of the 5160 blades from Brigade Trading Company. Okay, they're basically a simple high carbon steel. Actually, I shouldn't say that. They're not simple. They're complex in the sense that they're not just using carbon, you know, iron and some silicon. But they're very strong, very flexible. But they're not made in the old manner. So for practicing, especially if you're going to use harder targets, you can get a very well shaped, very well balanced sword that doesn't tend to take a set, that is very strong, so that you can practice some of this stuff if you have the training without damaging the tool. Okay, without damaging the tool too much. The Wagisashi is a Raptor from Cask. Another same 5160 steel, but they make really good training tools. Get them very well balanced. They cut really well. You can re-polish them yourself. You don't sharpen them in the Western way, but you can re-polish them. You don't have a hamon, etc. But they make a great training tool when you're going to go out and actually put pressure on the blade. Okay. Some other things Samurai did was, anybody watch Zatoichi? Oh. Okay. Is reverse cutting. Okay. And there's places for that. And the swords actually reverse cut very well as long as you use your body to do the cut instead of trying to swing at it like you see a lot of modern styles. Okay? So I can come up through here, step,
Whoa!
make a reverse cut, and then recut it. So, and this is the resistance probably of the human frame. The other ones, these things are a lot tougher than people are. We're not actually very tough. Those of you who've been out and done stuff realize that people aren't tough. You can be persevering, you can be resilient, but most stuff out there is harder than human skin and human bones. So, frames are a real important part. Some other things that would be done with people close is drawing, turning, cutting swords. Again, using your whole body to cut. Okay? You had restrictions. You might have the restrictions of the environment you're in, the building you're in. Most in old Japan, all the beams and the doorways are right this tall, this line right here. Okay? And I know that for a fact because I deepened it many times running into beams, etc. in the middle of the night. Okay? So obviously swinging a sword or in distance you couldn't swing the sword so far. So there's methodologies for coming in and bringing the sword close to the body when you're doing this type of thing, right? Stuff that doesn't get shown so much, but it's a very effective way as long as when you cut, you bring your body through the motion. Okay? You bring your body through the motion. So where would a reverse draw, etc. be used? So say Dominic draws and he's really close to me when he draws and I don't have much time, I can just draw through, cut back. Okay? Take a look at that slowly. See how convincing he's coming through? And then I glide into his body down balance and turn the sword over and cut again with my body. So I might not have enough space. Okay? I could be walking, he could attack me from the rear close. Same thing. Okay? Same thing. All that's happening there is I turn through. Okay? So, many ways of drawing the sword. If Dominic can say, right here for the moment, okay? I'm walking, just a second, set this up. I'm walking close, but put it back in. I'm walking close, and he draws the cut. So no movement. You see in modern styles, they'll step away, draw, and try to step back. But if you leave all this in space, when you turn, the sword just comes out and it's there, and it's already where it's supposed to be. It's more dangerous, okay? And some of the holes that are in me are put on me not by other people, but myself. Which is the dangerous part of this, but it's also the gift. In the modern world here, and now he's just in New York City, which is polar opposite of where you guys are right here. So I'm in free America right now. Feels good. But I was going somewhere with that. New York. Huh? New York. Okay. So what you have with the sword is multiple ways of using this. Really efficient ways of coming through, right? Stabbing, turning, stabbing, that. You have to become really familiar. Okay, New York. So what happens in so much of modern America, there's an ungulate mentality taking on, herd animal. Okay? The herd animal mentality. So how they can do that is they either don't have immediate consequence to their actions, or facts, etc., don't have anything to do with them. Now, if they had the hot pot or the animal that would kill somebody, they'd probably learn faster, but they're removed from that. Okay? The live blade, and when we use steel, we only use live blade. We don't use the ito. You make a mistake, you bleed. In my dojo, you're wrong. Mother Nature passed judgment. Clean up your blood before we decide, do we have to go to the hospital or can we do it ourselves? We're pretty good. You can see a pretty good one there. We did that. We fixed that ourselves. Okay. But once you start removing immediate consequence, which is the human learning process, you now can get off into all these ideologies and philosophies and political beliefs that aren't based in reality because nobody has to pay a price. Hey, I think we should farm this way. And you come around the end of the year and you got no food. Well, people learn not to do that way, right? You know, I wouldn't go out and walk in those woods by yourself if I were you, and somebody comes out and finds you later, a bear or coyote or someplace in the world, a lion or something got you. It's like, but when you remove yourself from that, you can come up with all kinds of goofy stuff. One of the things that training in Namiyu does is it keeps us close to the immediate cause and effect that is the human learning process, making mistakes and learning from them. Other people making mistakes and going, I don't think I'm going to do that, right? That's what this gives you as well. It's not just, oh, I can use a sword, or maybe I can translate this into short knife or empty hand. It has to do with, how do I perceive the world? How can I train myself in a world where I get in a car, get on a computer, and we all do that? How can I give myself some of the gifts that our ancestors learned? And that's a huge part of what we're doing. Questions, by the way, as we go along.
Me too.
You enjoying it?
Huh?
You enjoying it?
We're just saying more modern sword fighting today is taught a different way than
Completely different, and sword fighting has already given you the wrong thing. So you watch in here and you'll see different stuff on TVs. There's a lot of back and forth. That's a really bad idea. Okay? There's a lot of stuff that's not going to you're not going to shut the system down that you're fighting right away. That's a bad idea for survival. Right, Marine? Not the best way. Okay? So, fighting by definition, are you married? Okay, how well does fighting work in your relationship? It doesn't work in mine. I just wonder if somebody else is making it work. Why would you want to fight then? So we don't look at this as fighting in that sense, okay? Because that's an exchange of force back and forth. And the problem with that is both people or both sides either get or are really susceptible. What you want to do is solve a problem with the sword. So that's why we don't have blocks. Same with grasps and stuff. I can show people later, okay? We don't lever and twist out of grasps. We're really hard to catch a hold of. We move people in different ways, and this all comes from what the samurai actually used for war, and not from the modern derivations that don't have anything to do with war. Remember, war is about killing people and breaking things. It's done with tools. Art's the ability to do it to your enemy without having them do it back to you. Okay? That takes away almost all the other stuff that you see. MMA is a fun sport. It has nothing to do with combat at all. If I gave one of my small pocket folders to one or both of them, the only skill they really have to survive that engagement is to run. Once you start the back and forth that happens with them, they'd be lacerated to, right? It wouldn't work. I used to wrestle double leg takedown. How well is it going to work? I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the